Is day 220 of your Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you would like to sponsor upcoming Shiv Arukh HaShulchan Yomi or more, be greatly appreciated. Please contact me directly. Test. We're doing Simon Kuf Nuches, Sif Test, to Sif Test Vav. Immediate Mekash Shabtari with Vash. Types of pastries which are fried in honey. Kamo Ein Gemachts, V'teglach, Ufyorskes, Chizbem, etc. Yeshmei Dloa, B'mashke, some say it's not considered to be a beverage. By the time Tosefta Taurus says in Taurus Vash has only covered toe, honey which flows from the hive. Tame tumas mashkin. It's a tame tumas mashkin. It's a beverage. Chizol ochlin, but if you think about it, to eat it, the tame tumas ochlin, then it is considered to be tame tumas ochlin, not mashkin. In case vashim merkachas, so this honey which is used in the confection, came when shalom lachilos, it's made to eat as part of the pastry. Long became mashka, it's not considered to be a beverage. Some say there's a mistake. That's with honey which flows on its own. And he thought about it at the time it was flowing. But honey which was harvested from the hive, with the price of no matter what, it's a beverage. It doesn't matter that you thought about it to be a foodstuff or part of a foodstuff. Your thought does not undermine your action, and your action is removing from honey from the hive, at which time it is flowing beverage honey. Then you used it for frying. And that is a maisa, and and it can undermine your prior thoughts. That is by kalim. That machshava is maisa is motzim de maisa, for the status of kalim vis-a-vis tuma. But in food, it still has to be food until it is no longer suitable even for a dog to eat. It says Shulchan himself on even though the last opinion is true because it's correct. Nevertheless, the Ikar Locha is like the previous. The first opinion, Magen Avram. Yes, in terms of the dvash itself, it's a beverage. But we say Masechah Shabbos that in terms of halachos of schita, that a beverage which comes to food becomes food. Uvyuma, once you squeeze a lemon onto a fish, the lemon does never become juice in halacha. It remains solid to solid. Of Yom HaKlach Uchla, and Yom it says anything which comes to make the food more palatable is food. Here, the honey is coming into the food, and to make the food more palatable. It's a deal. Therefore, you don't require to say time. You don't have to. You can't distinguish and say there. They didn't have the name of food before it came. It didn't have the name of beverage before it came into the food. In other words, it came from a lemon, squeezed, and then went on the fish. So it was originally a lemon. That's when it comes. When it comes to food, it remains the food. But here, the honey was honey before it came onto the foods, and that it was a shem mashke. So therefore, how is that canceled? Then okay. So it's not the case. I'm kind of mean okay here. So we also say the same thing we say by Shabbos. The ato the is shanu mechayvim also being tila mashkin. Here we want to require him to wash because of the beverage involved. It already is no longer a beverage. It's mixed up with the food. Made the food more palatable. So if you put a food into a beverage, now the beverage made the food more palatable. That's in the brackets he says here. If a mashke became crusted or solid and then dissolved, it's not a mashkin. That is even in places of Rambam Loposakein K'moshe Gosavti. That Rambam does not hold their way, as we believe we talked about yesterday. A lot of Mishnah Berurah on this. The Mishnah Berurah brings down the Chai Adam, who determines that if you bought the honey and it was still mixed into the beeswax, and you melted it or heated up in order to melt it in order to fry in it. If that's the case, it never had an mashka because it became the honeycomb, and you when you heat it up in order to eat it, so it doesn't require this time. But some of you who bought honey which is already and has been heated up and has been, I guess, removed from the comb, it's considered to be a beverage at that point, and therefore requires this time, even though you fry the food in it. The Chaim writes that if you eat this pastry through with a fork, you can be mako that it doesn't require Netilas Yadayim. Lamaisa, in that case, therefore, the Arukh HaShulchan is more mako, but I don't think that most people wash in these circumstances, regardless, as we've spoken about previously. Also, the Mishnah Berurah paskins, not like the Rambam, but like the Taisus, which means that indeed, if the beverage became solidified and then became melted again, it's not mashkin. Okay, as it may, good. It's unclear by types of confections where the pastries, confections that where the intent was for the purpose of the sauce. Such as when you squeeze the fruit, and you fry the sauce nofes shakurin sukkar in a type of nofes, which is called sugar. They're all meiperos. Just to mix in a little bit of water at the time of the confection. Also, when you fry it with fruit and they are whole, and such a confections like Shalano of ours, they have a lot of sauce. Nevertheless, the main thing in candy is sugar, right? Any confection is sugar. Just little water is mixed in there. All types of sweets we make now with sugar and not with honey. And sugar is sugar coming from the cane, obviously, or from the beet, is meiperos. About mine, so a little bit of water in them. Do they require washing? They don't require washing. The Chem Sheish Rob Meiperos says the majority of meiperos of the sugar negative mayim relative to the water. B'tei mayim meiperos, the water is null and void relative to the sugar. But this is explicit in the B'choros. Somebody who acquires a brine, Hayin Sham. The tzir tahar. If you have a brine which is tar, where water fell in, then it becomes tome, even the water is a koshu. It said by the Gemara, it says the guy the case where previously it was 50-50, was a substantial amount of water, it just was not the majority. The Viram Perk the Zaim Nitum Masachin Dindal Shvish Mishnah Kapashta, where it explains the Mishnah Kipshuto, that's just a mashu of water. Karatomo Labazeh, they were astonishing him about this. Ayin Sham. Yuladina Kumash Gasavdi. Ben so Natila Makach Shalanu. Ladina, it's like we wrote, it doesn't require Natila. Elin Kate Nitagnu Bidvash, unless it was fried in honey. I thought we said before that that's not the case. Previously, if we did it fried in honey, it's not considered to be requires Natila. All right, but be that as it may, I'm not sure. I guess nitkum udvash in a way in which originally it was considered to be a mashke. In one of the cases, the way we supposed said in the previous case, that I guess it's taking actual previously harvested honey, they mashke, and then using it with the food. Not sure exactly why it says this here. You have hey, basad sli, roasted meat. No, roasted meat. Yesh mishanir and bivarv afa pisha moyel topecholav. Dino compares, even though there's condensation upon it, It's halachas like fruits, the tav shel michitim, and it's the cooked dish made of wheat, v'hem neguim, they're dried, compares they're like fruit, akan shoro. Beredvar, what does it mean? My b'tzlishin soim mashpud aleish. You're roasting something on a skewer on the fire. Then for the whatever condensation comes to meat itself, it's like a fruit juice. Even though you certainly rinse the meat with water, it must have been dried up from the water, but prior to its being cooked. The tavshe mechitim neguvim, and a cooked dish of wheat which is dried. Pshita shein tzor netila. It's obviously doesn't require netila. Mishnah says the das of the gra is if was rinsed in water before it was fried or roasted in this case, and also the moisture which comes out of the meat does have a shem mashke. Back to Arukh HaShulchan, if there's water moist on the meat, and on the wheat, doesn't require a deal. But mashke, like we said before, it's only when you dip something in mashke. And not on that which there's a moisture on the food. Is the Amshir Shloima. Since it's cooked with the food, it's called food and not a beverage. It brings down that when fruit is cooked in water, their opinions on that it doesn't require steel time. Therefore, it's proper to eat them with a spoon if there's any moisture still upon them. Back to the Arukh HaShulchan. Those who argue this, Rash Bakasav, the payers who bust a dogim yesh by mashke, you have fruit or meat or fish which has moisture in them. Oh, tovlam mashke, or you dip them in moisture. In beverage, Tzarech Dil Sidayim requires the Dil Sidayim. That's a task. But it's right. That's not proof, says Arukh HaShulchan. The Zeok Shel Nizbashel, that's not cooked. But if it's cooked, then it has the halacha of food and not beverage. Rashi writes that if you have mashkin, a beverage which is on a cooked dish, which is even moistens the hands, ain't toras mashkin love toras ochel. It doesn't have the status of beverage, but the status of food. Akan sharo. The brackets mashkasa magarav sifkan yud zel mashka matzah ayin sham, but it's mashka shel atzma ayin sham. So that's really the moisture which comes out of the substance. Like that, lo markein. I don't know where you do that, but where you got that from. It's true that the Mishnah, the third paragraph of Taurus, does say that it is a mashke. Yeah. So the Magen Avraham says that it's the mashke of itself is not mashke. In other words, the moisture comes out of the meat or from the food is not considered to be a mashke. But it says on the contrary, it seems that Mishnah beginning of third period of Taurus is mashke. But regardless, after Makabel Tuma, even though it does receive a Tuma, that's not because it's not considered it's not considered the that mashke. In other words, everyone's saying the mashke which comes out of the meat is not mashke, but the mashke which was on the meat beforehand is a mashke, right? And that seems to be the case from Mishnah from third paragraph in Taurus, right? That it is a mashke. But the Amshir Shloima says no, even though it's makabel tuma, this mashke, as a result of this mashke, it's makabel tuma because it is a mashke, the water which is put on beforehand. But nevertheless, now that it's it's cooked, right? It's no longer considered to be there, and therefore it's obviously like water which went away, even though it's mashke previously. And the fact that it's makabel tuma, nevertheless, does not mean that you have to wash for it. Yud base. I'll tell you the other payers are him is ruach. So he washes his hand for fruit. He looks like he's arrogant. The Marish Machmir Yosem Divrei Chachamim. Seems that he's more Machmir Chachamim require him to be. Chachamim logos payers rakla pas. Chachamim only made a decree on bread, not on fruit. I mean, Trumas payos rabbanon, because the truma of fruit is rabbanon. V'avim avi d'oraisa, even it's midoraisa, because the mashal give you a Rambam, peragav mitrumos, you come hey machilas arai, v'logos achilas kvak, mashkosabdu. And even if you hold that the meiser truma meisers of fruits other than grapes and olive oil is the oraisa. Nevertheless, here eating just as an informal meal, not on, and the only word goes there, washing on formal meals. The Mishnah says that fruit which is cooked in water, so we did. He says, he explains that since most truma is from bread, it says reish is the gancha, and the derech is to eat bread only after it's bread, not while it's still grain. Therefore, they only were goes their natila in that manner after it became bread. The Sharatzion brings the reason which Arukh HaShulchan is about to say. He said, this reason that he said here, that it's achilas arai, and they weren't goes achilas keba. But that's only if you wash as an obligation. If you wash your hands just as the kius, clean your hands, especially when you know your hands are clean, that means good. Drinks doesn't have to wash even one hand. Since he always drinks by a vessel, a logos and decree against this. Even if you take water with your hands out of a river, mikrehu, it's just a happenstance. Logos then to make a decree in such a circumstance. So that when you cook dough in water, you don't require natila. Because people eat it with a spoon. I guess it's kind of porridge. Nearly that feeling nothing beyond, even if you take it in your hands, it came down milsal shchicha, since it's an infrequent occurrence to take a porridge in your hand. And lo goes to rabban decree against this. When you fry a dough in butter, shochem yadayim, and you eat it with your hands, if they have moist butter on them, which can cause moisture on your hands, then you have to wash for them. If not, you don't have to wash for them. It seems a little bit inconsistent with what we said about honey, but maybe we looked into it deeper, we would come up with the consistency. If you fried it in oil, does in any event, shemei peros, because shuman fat. Sorry, not oil. You fry it in fat. It's because it's shemei peros. Fat is like fruit juice. Basar mimarak, also a meat sauce. And meat from soup. And you only eat it by fork, and then you therefore does your current natila. Also, potatoes which are in a cooked dish, when you eat them with melted butter, all these things are unclear because the Meister Arukh HaShulchan before already said that this is we don't really do this nowadays. I guess it's going with the opinion that we do it. You give up not like yadav the davish dipula mashke. If you wash your hands of something which was dipped in beverage, then you change your mind. You're going to eat bread. Oh, or you wash without non-tank to eat at all. Such as they're dirty. After washing for hygiene, you decide you're going to eat bread. Tali b'dev she's borrowed b'simu kupton. This is being discussed in the next sermon. You talk about the sapras. You need intent for the washing for eating. You intend to wash to eat the bread, imlav or not. In Tzarkavana, you still have to go back and wash the bracha. If you don't require kavana, clout. You don't have to go back and wash it all. You rewind this washing. So you haven't gotten distracted since the previous natila. No team seems that you don't require kavana. You told, therefore, if you want to wash again, you should do it without making a bracha. So you're eating now without a bracha. because initially he didn't make a bracha, but I'm totally break. Now he also not make a bracha on Tzilas Yadayim. So why don't we tell you to make a bracha now on the preceding Netilah? The Kaima, because we hold the Gama Acha Niguv, the Baruch on Tzilas Yadayim, even after you draw your hands, you can still make a bracha on Tzilas Yadayim. Okay, you can't say this here. That's where the Netilah was deliberately for the purpose of bread. Avakam Netilah Yishon, but here by the original Netilah, Halochi Ben Tzilas Yadayim the you didn't have a mind to do it for bread. And for a cloud, so you don't make a bracha. A bracha is in makbos, and a brachas are not impediment to fulfilling the obligation of washing. If you touch in the middle of your eating places which are disgusting on your body, you should go back and wash again. And make the bracha. The kol shekain kshiyotz in the cover, certainly if you go out to attend to your needs in the middle of the meal, that's when you go to defecate. You have to come back and wash and make this time before proceeding to eat more bread. Okay, obviously you don't do it if you don't have plan on eating bread. If you plan on eating bread, you have to wash again. The Mishnah Berurah says if you don't have water, he says only if you don't have water, if you do only have water, you can rely on the first washing. Berurah says that if you waited a long time before eating bread, then you have to wash your hands again, regardless. And of course, you have to make a bracha as well, even if you know they weren't Mesiach Das, but too much time elapsed. Yudal. B'soper kama the Eruvin Tnan the Machane when you're out on war in your encampment. Machane milchama patu metilas daim exam metilas washing which now makom sakana place is dangerous. Vav sheisham ma'itoch arba milim if there's water within 4 meal which is in front of you normally that's a shear and so you don't have to go there. It's also true about people going to the desert. On the road in a place that's dangerous and you don't have water. Part of this I'm exempt from washing. If you have been in prison, you have no water, you can wash, we eat without washing. We find Rabbi Akiva, Gemara Eruvin says that when he was in prison, he would not eat without washing. He was too stringent on himself. Quite strictly, everybody is exempt. In such cases, you don't even have to wash to wrap your hand in a cloth and eat, as we shall see elsewhere. You have to do to cave on the pachur rabbanim. Rabbanim exempt them; they exempt them altogether. Ishmael Rabbi says you should wrap your hand in a cloth. Mishnah doesn't seem to be the shot in the Mishnah. The cave nan shepachum since it says they're exempt. They should have qualified, if necessary, that it was through a cloth. As Gemara in Chulin says that mappa works for Chuma. Yerushalmi says just like the Ramati when you're going out to war, so too when you come back from war. Mishnah Berurah is not having this. He says so you have to wrap your hands, even though they exempt you from Tzilas Yadayim. Tesvav. I explain that person be very careful washing. Neck, hold on. If you don't, you're uprooted from the world. Vaydeanios come to poverty. And the way to remember this is the Rashi tables shall on the Tzilas Yadayim ayin nun yud heim oni. Klamar shezeh matzim anios washing saves one from anios. Avagav shiuram b'revius, even though the minimum share is only a revius, which is 3.3 ounces. You double shefa. Use a lot of water. Shabbos says, I washed a lot of water and they gave me a lot of good in return. We washed a lot of water and he got a lot of riches from heaven. Those people who make a mockery and cast doubt on the words Chazal, softly, but then they eventually be lost. Then concerning them, the Navi shouted, those who call bad good and good bad. Because the time obviously is important cleanliness. Nevertheless, the Roa eats Rama Menuvo. Wow. According to their disgusting Yetzirah. They will reject the mitzvah. Hadinah lazu, this delicate mitzvah. Yochel Betin, if you're dying, they're going to eat with disgusting hands. Oy lohem unafshosam. Woe to them, both health-wise and to their souls. Of course, there is the famous story about Rousseau Slanter, that when there was a maidservant who had to carry the water up the hill with great difficulty, he said to Machmir in this case was to wash with the revius in order not to be mashriach, somebody to bring more water up for your chumrah of washing with more water.